What's up, everyone, and hope you're excited for a very fun Age of Empires 2 game. This game features two players who don't see the channel enough because they're so freaking fun to watch, and also a style that we either haven't seen in many years, depending on how long you've been around, or just don't see too frequently. So, without any further ado, let's get the introductions in. We've got MBL, one of my best buds in the Age of Empires community, playing as the Koreans, a civ I've not been too fond of over the years. The reasons I will explain. And then here you've got Kazva. Kazva, I mean, my salutes go out to him. He has dedicated himself over the last year, and he's currently top 10 in the world rankings. Granted, that's just rated games, and a lot of players are currently not doing rated games as they're prepping for a tourney, but still, this is a quality player, and not many people can say they've got to that ranking. Now, he is the Vikings, and the Vikings are a civilization you probably see a lot more of in tourneys and whatnot. And the reason for that is because of their economy. They get free wheelbarrow, free handcart. So in feudal age, they're very strong. Castle age, they're even stronger. And that, combined with their archers being fully upgraded and getting siege ram, tends to be what can finish off a lot of civs. And that's even before you get to talk about the elite berserk. That's even before you get to talk about the chieftain's upgrade. It's just a very strong civ. Koreans, on the other hand, this is a civ that has received a lot of changes since I've been around. They used to have additional range in their mangonels, and the devs changed that. They used to build their towers something like 50% faster. And at that time, they were simply so broken that I think they were the best civ in the game. I truthfully do. I might make a video on that. But yeah, then that was changed. They do currently get the guard tower and keep upgrade for free when they arrive to the next age. So they are still a little tower focused. But the recent change the devs made, I think, made them a little bit better overall. Is that they're, the units that cost wood have a discount on them. So like archers and skirmishers, halberdiers, things like that. So that's quite nice. And it still doesn't really put Koreans as a top tier civilization. But, you know, you combine that with the fact that they do have a really strong post-imp play with Siege Onager and War Wagons. You've got a great recipe for strong civilization. Now, the thing is, you don't see the towers too frequently. And guys, I'm going to say something that's going to really surprise you, I think, if you know me. Because there was a time where I absolutely hated towers. And towers were a lot stronger back then. I whined and complained and complained and complained all about towers. But you know what bothers me is when there's not proper balance. And I feel like, and you guys might not agree with me, and that's completely fine, as MBL is trying to protect his boar here from Kazva. I honestly feel like towers only have a place in our game as a defensive castle age measure. It's really weird. Like, tower rushing as a strategy just isn't really a thing anymore. Because what they did was, feudal age towers are going to have less HP than castle age towers. And the scouts are fighting here. Looks like Kazva's winning this. MBL is really intent on taking this fight for some reason. He's going to run away now. But yeah, even going forward to try and tower someone's walls nowadays is kind of seen as a bad strategy because the person who's walling and going fast castle, if they counter tower, the second they hit castle age, their tower has more HP and they win. So the focus of this game is actually going to be on towers and map control. And you might not agree about the whole tower thing, but just watch this game and I'll show you what I mean. I think it makes it really interesting to be able to fortify an area or control an area, because then it turns into a situation where players have to counterattack or take control of your resources. Instead of everyone just on separate sides of the map sending military units forward, you can kind of have these little areas to push out from. So MBL hasn't scouted at all at this point. He does not know where the enemy is. And yet he's still making militia. Over here you've got Kazva. And Kazva is like, okay, that's fine. Kazva did a decent amount of scouting to know that MBL's TC is probably here. But Kazva's going up to feudal age here. And for Kazva, this is going to be man-at-arms. So in an ideal world, what you'd want in MBL's position is you'd want to know where their resources are, where their base is. You'd also want to know, does he have a barracks? Is there a flag on it? Like, these things are important to be able to determine what you do. But MBL is I mean, this game is maybe not the best example of what he's capable of, but he's really well known for being able to get walls down behind a little bit of early pressure. So I think that's what he's going to try and do here. Not the worst map in the world. Still a lot to wall off, though, if he wants to full wall this one. And here comes MBL. Now, he saw this gold, and that made him think, the enemy could be to the left. And then he saw the wood, and he's like, you know what? Enemy's probably to the right. It's funny here. I think Kasva... Yeah, Kasva scouted the barracks, and he must be thinking that there's a possibility that the militia are going to arrive to his base. So Kasva, I think, also struggles with confidence against MBL. It's funny, I think MBL has an 80 or 85% win rate and against Kasva, and I have a 15% win rate against Kasva, so it's like Kasva is to MBL as what I am to Kasva. But anyways, Kasva gets a fight that looks good, but actually isn't all that good when you wanted to go for feudal age. Now you've got 2 weak militia. MBL kind of lucking out there, taking a good fight, and was going to be walling up anyways. So now MBL's gold is forward, and you're going to see a lot of exposed resources on this map. You can see the stone here. You can see the gold here. And this is pretty much the focus of the cast here. Kasva must have realized that there's... Oh, no, didn't see this gold, actually. Yeah, MBL's golds are awful. Look at this. All 3 golds are forward, and then there's back main gold. Oh, man, I mean, really not looking good for MBL on that front. He's about to be in feudal age, but the problem now is, you got to be aggressive because the Vikings get wheelbarrow for free. That's a huge eco upgrade. So Kasva's been working with that bonus for a while here. MBL also is a little blind to what's coming. He doesn't know that Kasva was delayed with this range. And so we're going to see double range for MBL. And it's kind of funny, but Kasva's going to start the whole tower war here. He's going to make this interesting. Now, a bonus which is underrated is Korean villagers getting extra line of sight. So MBL, just because of the villagers, is going to have a little bit more vision here. But MBL does not see that tower. At this point, Kasva still doesn't know about this gold. Might assume there's a gold back here, but he also knows MBL's on this gold. So he's like, there must be a reason for that. If he's on the gold, I should probably try and deny it. MBL does not see this. MBL brings the scout over. MBL's going to fight, lose the scout. Now sees the tower foundation. And now he's probably like, well, that's not ideal. The good news is he can drop off the gold. And this actually ends up working out because he already has 2 archers. And he'll have 50 gold in the bank so he can research fletching. And now he's got to think about what he does. Does he go to stone? What do you do? Kasva just going to sit here, wall up the tower, and MBL's like, you know what? Let's protect this gold ahead of time. We'll go over to this one. Maybe think about a small counterattack. Now, MBL has played most of this game with very little scouting, and I would just not be able to make the proper decisions. But MBL, he's from Norway, and he's used to the dark days, the dark winter days. That is based on no facts whatsoever. I'm pretty sure Norway has a lot of sunny winter days, but he's used to the darkness. He was molded by it. This is an awful Bane impression. But yeah, he's going to chase these units down. He does have fletching and armor because the armor upgrades come in for free for the range units for Koreans. Forgot to mention that. And so Kaz was like, well, you know what? I'm happy with this, but I'm not so happy with the fact he's counterattacking me right now. Kaz was just going to take the deer. He's going to take MBL's deer. MBL was able to do a quick once-over and see where Kasva's getting resources. Kasva, unfortunately, though, is fully walled on the right and is going to be walled here as well. I mean, Kasva is in dreamland right now. So, at this point, MBL has to be creative because with the Viking economy being so much greater and with all these resources like the deer and the gold and the stone being available, MBL has to start to switch things up. The enemy would be in Castle Age faster than him if they just sit back. And I honestly think what I would do is I would send a few extra vills to gold. I'd make a market and try and buy food to have a competitive castle time. But MBL, he's going to break out what you used to see back in the day. Back when towers were a little bit stronger. And the only resource that's a little tricky for Kasva is the stone. He could take this stone. But I mean, he can't, he towered forward, right? So he cannot tower right now. And Kasva says, I'm going to rush this down. Now, this was another change the devs made at one point to nerf towers. I kind of like this one. but villagers are stronger against tower foundations. The problem is, these are now villagers you don't have collecting resources, and MBL has a lot more than just 5 villagers here. So we'll see if MBL can hold this position here. He looks like he's going to lose a villager. Going to lose another Nope, saved her. Messy stuff. Now, having wheelbarrow means your villagers move around faster here, too. It's just kind of funny. And, you know, MBL's fallen behind, so he's going to make it messy. And that's why I really like to watch MBL play. Because unique situations arise from his games. And you can see now, MBL has killed a ton of villagers. MBL's economy at home looking good. This tower have somehow stayed up. So maybe the meta, I complained about towers. Maybe the meta is to send more than just 4 or 5 vills. Maybe you have to send a lot to be able to find some success with it. Also, so sick from MBL to be able to save some of those weak ones, because he's been hopping in and out of the tower to repair. And he actually, I think, hopped villagers over here to be able to attack, because he doesn't have any archers right now. Either way, the tower does eventually end up going down. Now you have villager v villager madness. And MBL is going to fight back. He's got to be careful with that, though, because Viking villagers are faster because of wheel. And Casva's actually going to get another one. Wait, MBL could block. You could run back and forth with the skirm. Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, that's well done. And then the second in archers here, I think Casva's got to think twice about this. MBL could just use the skirm. Oh, he is going to die. Doink. Nice. But yeah, in the end, 6-3 villager KD. Of course, a lot of idle time for both. Players are not too close to clicking up to Castle Age because of the madness. But MBL does have better military numbers, though that could change in a moment. There's a lot of weak ones, and yeah, I think Casva now realizes, uh-oh, 3 archers, that's bad news. And he makes a gate to buy himself some space. That's actually so good. Again, because he has wheelbarrow, and those villagers are going to be saved. That saves Casva about 2 or 3 more vill losses. Over here, this is just houses, so you have to remember that. I know it's real easy to be like, T90, you're not looking at the proper stuff, man. So, don't worry about me. Those are just houses. And MBL just really doesn't want to give up this position. So it looks really weird to place a tower here, but here he comes with more vills, and he's just like, I'm going to tower like it's 2017 again. There's a lot less lag now. There's a lot more civs now. The balance has changed now. But he's remembering that Koreans get guard tower for free in the next stage. MBL also has the stone mining upgrade, so he's been mining a lot of stone. And I think Casva realizes what's happening here. This is a stepping stone situation for MBL. He's making this tower so he can comfortably make this tower and then comfortably make the other tower. So, as we see them trading armies right now, MBL says, okay, I'll let you counter tower there. I'm actually going to just tower to the left now. Now, I noticed Casva has scouts. I'm a little surprised that he didn't dive here because of the amount of skirms that MBL has. But I'm not sure what the result would have been. Now we have 2 towers for MBL. Got like 10 villagers here. He's going to make another one. Maybe that's the deal. Maybe the scouts can't engage when there's this many vills. Or maybe he wanted to go for a counterattack. Check this out. Now, MBL noticed the scouts had left his forward group. So he's already making a spearman, which is really smart. He doesn't want to take any losses there, and here he is. He's overextending because he's defending at home. This is very common. See this here? Very common. You could tell he's reacting, trying to do stuff at home. And if Casva were to be able to get a villager pick here, combined with the amazing fight that Casva has had in the front, I think Casva will be liking life. Yep, Casva gets 1 villager. Casva could maybe even tell the tale and survive. Yes, Casva does survive. There might even be weak ones here, honestly. Players are just so good nowadays with mobility, guys. So good with just a few scouts. It's crazy. I think that even applies to mid to low elo. Players are just a lot better, a lot faster, able to multitask more. Casva, he just remembered the gate foundation was there. So he'll delete that. That's kind of a funny note. And so MBL now has towers on a hill. This is going to be guard tower in the next stage, which means it'll likely push this position. He is on the way to Castle Age. So he's gone from losing his main gold to gaining control over this extra gold for Casva and maybe more. Now, Casva's military is really strong and scalable into the next stage. 9 archers that could easily be crossbow. And MBL is going to have to be a little careful at home. But, you know, this is what you just don't see a lot of with Koreans. You don't see Koreans able to get a position anymore to benefit from those upgrades with the towers, and that's just due to the fact the meta's shifted. So, I mean, I think there's no world where MBL would ever go forward if Kasva doesn't come forward, but Kasva kind of started it. And I think MBL realizes the situation now. I think he realizes that this army is going to dive underneath his first tower, so he's going to try and make a few skirmishers, drop another tower. And here comes Kasva, and Kasva sees this, but MBL's tower is only half up. It still kind of looks like Kasva's not comfortable enough to move in there. MBL has moved the farmers to another job. But in the end, good defense for MBL, who's still 20 seconds away from Castle Age. All things considered, that's really strong, but he did use the market to buy and sell some resources. Right? Did he? What? He didn't? Sorry, sometimes I just assume. Wow, okay. I mean, he didn't make the scouts, so it does make sense that he would have more food saved up, but wow. All right, so now this just got a whole lot more menacing. MBL's got to react here. Skirmishers are attacking a villager. But now the ranged units that MBL have the armor upgrade for free. MBL does lose the villager. Now MBL's got this hill position and is shooting that tower. Now Kasva has been able to take stone over here and has already pre-towered this area to kind of protect it. But Kasva's got to be thinking a lot about what he has to do with this. Like, do you get a university and research guard tower? That way it's guard tower v guard tower. Do you go for a siege workshop and try and push these towers? Do you save stone and drop a castle and just shoot the towers down that way? I don't know. It's really tricky. This is where I used to complain back in the day. Now I'm trying to bring it back. I just think about how interesting this game has been. And now MBL, he's taking a position. He's pressuring with the towers. And he's like, oh, I'm going to catch up here. What's funny is he researched handcart right away in Castle Age. That kind of puts him on an even footing with the Vikings. And yeah, Kasva chose option number 2 or 3. I forget what order it was when I said it. But Kasva says, well, you know what? The best thing I can do to stop this from getting out of hand is drop a castle. Which I agree with, as long as this tower stopped, because you could lose too many villagers. So he doesn't have his Castle Age upgrades in yet. Kasva pulls a lot of villagers over. It is worth noting they're all full HP, and MBL just lost a few, and some army. Yeah, so I mean, in the end, tower goes up. Castle's at 75%. And guys, I have to say, Kasva 2 years ago would have died to MBL already. So Kasva, I mentioned at the start, is really improved, and I think that was a good decision. His eco's looking fairly good. He doesn't really have the military to counter, which is the awkward part. And now he's sending more villagers to stone. Woo, boy. Well, actually, it's because he ran out of this stone. They're going to go to other resources, but still. MBL, what's he doing? Well, he's like, well, he's out of that stone soon, maybe. I'm not sure if you noticed it or not, or if he's just thinking that Kasva doesn't have a lot of military, so he wants to take the map control. Thought about it, but then I think realized that Kasva would notice he was running that way, and he also saw the amount of crossbows that Kasva had attacking the house. So now he goes, okay, I'm not going to tower the front anymore. I'm just going to tower here, which is actually really smart, because this tower provides a position to Kasva, which would be amazing for a second castle. So it protects the hill, and it also will take out that tower so he can take the gold again. Probably another thing I would not have done. That or would have sent Vills out there to batter it down. It would have been nasty. So we have ourselves a very close game. We've got towers on hills, but we have ourselves a very close game. And now Kasva, of course, sees this, and Kasva says, oh, you want that position? That's great. I'm just going to take this one. Listen, positionally, strategically, when towers are a bit more the meta, it does produce some really interesting games. If everyone just sits back at walls and goes man-at-arm 1 range or scouts into archers, then it just comes down to civ bonuses and whatnot, you know? I mean, obviously towers do as well, but it's like, oh, this civ has better eco, can't do anything behind those walls. Kasva can certainly do something here. He's going to take this stone, which will end up being really important. And then we have the crossbows meet up here. And MBL is going to be very happy about this because MBL wants to push forward again and counterattack. So one player takes a position, the other player takes another position. That's how this has gone. You can see MBL sees this gold, which is actually one of his. New Arabia's produced some crazy map gens recently. So MBL is just going to town center there. And I don't think we're going to see any Berserks yet. I know you guys probably want to see the Berserk. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to make that if you're Kasva. But plenty of food for Kasva. MBL now sending crossbows this way. Kasva may notice that. We'll see. Kasva had actually just patrolled this army. And it's unfortunate he didn't notice because he could have maybe killed a villager or two. MBL is actually dodging the shots intentionally with this villager, which is really smart. If you were to run her this way, they might go in towards the other villagers. And yeah, look at that from MBL. That's so good. So yeah, Kasva was distracted. And oh man, MBL even dodges that shot. Keeps the TC up. And is looped all the way over here with the crossbows. At this point, though, I think Kasva's going to see it unless MBL is able to loop the whole way around. And MBL now getting Town Watch so he can see what the enemy's up to because we've got some sneaky armies here as well. So you can definitely tell that, at least for Kasva, you can tell he's focusing a little bit more on the boom because the army movement isn't quite as sharp. But let's see what his reaction looks like here. Is now selling stone, buying some wood, selling some food, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, this is huge for MBL. Kasva, he's not reacting to this. I think because he's either looking here or looking here. I'm not sure. But guys, sometimes you'll get attacked at the same time in 2 different areas, and then you react to one of them. MBL takes a 10 villager lead. Now, these villagers, they would really like to do something. They heard about their friends back home, and this is the position that would be so huge for Kasva. Kasva's going to drop a castle here. Now, normally, it's a little risky against Koreans, right? Because Koreans could immediately react with guard tower defense. But MBL thought about it, realized it wouldn't have worked, and now has to give up the front of his base. So he took the front of Kasva's base for a time. Kasva said, no, 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 wagging his finger like Mutombo. And now, Kasva's going to take the front of MBL's base. And I believe this castle will even shoot this tower, which is quite nice. This tower is then vulnerable to be battered down. And Kasva can even see this. MBL is just running to the left now. MBL, though, is still active with this crossbow army. That's been the difference. MBL's had military presence in Castle Age. Kasva's had castle presence. This is sneaky, though. Kasva ran in here, so lots going on, and MBL reacted. This army ends up running away. MBL is just going to town center that gold, which is one of Kasva's, and now the crossbows are coming in, and Kasva really wants to fast imp right now. It's a good strategy. If you build forward castles, take away a resource, and then fast Imperial to get Trebs out, can be really strong, but you know, the disadvantage is that you just have no army to be able to kill this army of crossbows right now. So it is really giving MBL some time, who's now getting ballistics, which has been needed. You know, it's an interesting one because I think Imperial Age is going to give Kasva some benefit to be able to push MBL's base. Where are these villagers going? Hold on a second. MBL, crossbows in the back. He does not see these vills. I'm guessing they want to castle here. Yep. They know MBL's on that gold. Kasva doesn't even know about that gold himself.
Yeah.
So here comes Kasva. Kasva now sees the vills. MBL's going to notice this as well. MBL has the stone for a castle now. But he doesn't have his army here. Armies are fighting over here. MBL hasn't reacted. MBL's castling over here. I love this so much. I love this so much. I'm telling you. I mean, I'm not even proposing the brightest ideas in terms of the tower change. I just think the HP should go back up, truthfully. I think that towers in Feudal Age should have the same HP as the towers in Castle Age, and that's the only change I'd like to see. But holy cow, is this not fun? MBL is doing the right thing. He's going imp because he needs these resources back. And then Kasva's thinking that he has control of these resources, so let's just push this area. So they're kind of just trading areas of the map, and it's just constant waves of military with it as well. It's just such a good game. And it's not over yet. I'm sure you've seen the length of the video. MBL's villagers have gold. MBL's villagers have stone. Kasva tries to block them, which is kind of working, but didn't realize. Oh, there we go. Didn't realize until now that there was 2 tiles. Kasva will have 2 castles. However, Kasva will be in the Imperial Age later. And in terms of villagers on gold and whatnot, everything seems pretty close. Kasva does not know about this gold. I'm going to switch over to here. on the bottom left so you can see the overall KD and the value as MBL's villagers come out of nowhere, and we're going to see a castle here. So MBL wants to treb this down. MBL wants to treb the other one down. We have some quick walling. The Berserks are not going to stop this. And now Kasva has realized that there's a gold here. I'm not even sure if he knows MBL is here, and he's going to castle this TC. Castles and towers on hills and all over the place. Truly a spectacular game. Like, I remember seeing parts of this, and I actually didn't even see who the conclusion of this game. Sometimes I'll spoil myself, sometimes I won't. But I remember thinking, wouldn't it be something if they all lose their castles to the Trebs? There's kind of a chance that could happen here, right? Like, they're not going to have the resources to commit to all the different areas. So, as MBL is slightly ahead in Vills, we have a total of 4 castles for Kasva, 2 for MBL. But MBL Civ gets Bombard Cannon, so he could get Chemistry and then start pushing these back with Bombard Cannon. It's a ridiculous game. Also, MBL has Bracer on the way, and this army of crossbows are heading over this way. Kasva, you could see he was researching Capped Ram. He's going to start with the towers first. That's important. He needs to get this gold secured. Needs to clear up the middle of the map. So, both players were kind of just waiting on what was going to be targeted. And Kasva's losing 2 castles right now, so Kasva has to decide. And Kasva has deemed this area the most important. And Kasva's now going to defend with Trebs in this area. Where did MBL's army go? Here's MBL's army. Kind of hard for Kasva to see this. It's so bold from MBL to go in here. But the mining camp gives him tons of vision, as does the tower. Or I guess mainly the tower. Speaking of, MBL's going to tower over here, seeing Kasva sent an army in. It's like everywhere they go, there's a tower or a castle. And I would be very surprised if they're going to have this stone to repair. Like, at this point, you have Kasva selling resources to get gold to then buy stone for the repair. And then over here, Kasva just lost 1 treb. And MBL quick walls out a ram. Because that makes sense. The ram is designed to take out walls. And MBL used walls to counter it. That's kind of funny. Also really helps to get that final armor upgrade for free if you're Koreans. That's not a cheap upgrade, and it really helps to have more tankiness against the ranged units. And so yeah, both players have very little on stone, both players repairing, and here come the capped rams. Now this is huge, because MBL doesn't have a response to like 4 capped rams. But he's going to take this castle out, and so he could swing his trebs over here or something, right? I mean, there's opportunities. Here's MBL with the crossbows. Probably distracted. He could lose some of that to the tower. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. MBL. MBL, and what's he distracted by? He's distracted by this. So we've got 4 capped rams. MBL now adding a siege workshop. Even adding a stable. He just needs to get some units out there to deal with the rams. Using villagers for now. All those crossbows did go down. What little stone is here is going to be taken by both players. It's only fair that they would share. And it's just the messiest game you've seen today. Or this week. Or this month. Or this year. I really don't know. MBL was able to get 1 relic. And Kasva, I think just deciding it's not worth it to run in after the castle when he's probably going to take it out anyways. Or so he thinks. But truthfully, I think this is a mistake. I would have liked to have seen him send the rams in here. Maybe he thought MBL would be getting blacksmith upgrades or something. But yeah, now the treb is down. And so Kasva still has these castles standing, but MBL hasn't lost a castle yet. Look at this economy. It's so messy. Farms expiring. People relocating. And Kasva's really gained an important position over here. You've got the wood lines and the hills, and then also you've got that gold. Gold long-term is going to be quite nice. Lots of skirms out there for MBL. It's like his favorite unit. And now MBL, he's got a bombard cannon as well. So you can roll this bad boy around. You can hit units, but you can also hit the castles. So Vikings do not get that. Vikings get siege ram. That's something Koreans don't get, but I don't think the food eco has ever been there for Kasva. Kasva, excuse me. And yeah, I think the timing just wasn't right there for Kasva. Maybe just a little too distracted over here, and thus he was a little hesitant. Looks to me like that keep will eventually go down to that Berserk. And I mean, Berserk is a realistic unit to go with in late game with Vikings, but it's not so realistic if you're not going to have your castles alive. So I don't think he should commit to too many of them. As for now, both players are just trying to figure out their economies. And they're both on their own separate sides of the map right now. MBL, do not lose the Treb to a Berserk. It has no upgrades. Do not lose the Treb here. Thank you. The Skirmishers are going to take care of the Berserk. MBL even adding a War Wagon. Pretty random game. MBL doesn't have this gold. And it looks to me like Kasva is going to have to focus on defending this right now. He loses this position, he could lose all these villagers, right? It's funny how little they both have on food. Like, look at their wood counts. This is what happens when you have to relocate vills constantly. You send them to wood first, and then you end up pulling them off of wood to go for farms, but they're creating more vills, and they're sending vills different areas, and it usually ends up on wood. 51 military versus 55 military. It doesn't really seem like Kasva has 55 military. I say that as we see some crossbows going down. The problem for Kasva is that Kasva's just got a mix of units right now. Kasva's going to need to get more skirms out. And now, 52 minutes into the game, MBL's going to town center his main gold. Let that sink in. 52 minutes into the game, taking the main gold. This gold's gone. MBL does have this gold available. But yeah, the Berserks are actually paying off a little bit now, aren't they? Just a little bit of a meat shield. But also, more than anything, Kasva has a lot of his own skirmishers. And MBL has army over here that can't help this position. And here come Trebs. That's a perfect position for the Trebuchet. I love that. Here come Rams. And so this side has been so important to MBL's success over the last couple minutes. He's going to lose this side. But now you have MBL thinking of pushing forward and pushing Kasva's main eco. So both players kind of base trading in a way. MBL's like, well, crap. I'm out of here, I guess. Maybe we have our main gold back. They don't know. They're far away from home right now. And so here comes MBL. He's got 3 Trebs. He's got 2 bombard cannons. He probably has to take out the tower first, but then could push Kasva's final castle. So MBL's left on 1 castle at home. But isn't this insane? It's been neck and neck with eco and military the entire game. And the positioning has been crazy. Still hard to predict this one. Both civilizations suck when it comes to stable units. Though we do see MBL getting a light cav anyways. Because that is your ideal go-to to counter the skirmishers, is to make some stables and pump out some light cav. I guess Koreans are better in that regard. But the Koreans, they have the worst Hussars in the game. So, just because they get a Hussar, they're better. But Vikings, they have pretty crappy light cav. Neither Civ gets Bloodlines. Neither Civ gets the final armor upgrade. And so, yeah, this has just been a scrappy game. So, as a player, you end up patrolling your units in, patrolling your Rams and Skirms in, and then setting a gather point to try and mass units to eventually deal with what's coming. So, you can see Kasva's doing that. You can see he's also pushing it over here. So the thought process is correct. I just noticed he was very late to chemistry, which actually hurt his skirms. And here he comes with the skirms, and I think he's got to be careful about running through here. Probably thought about it because MBL's not walled or anything. MBL's going to raid with some knights. We'll see how much damage that does. Kasva now buying food. That's not a great sign. Kasva still didn't get any relics, but that's pretty common in messy games. And I wouldn't say relics are really going to make a difference in this type of a game. Over the next, like when it hits an hour, then it might, then it starts to kick in, but they're not really spending a lot of gold is my point. Gold has pretty much been used for siege. And MBL is just out skirming skirms at this point, and he's basically decided to stop this push before continuing his push. But he just lost a Treb to a Ram. Here, look at this. It's just so messy. So messy. Look at this. Boom. And actually, MBL's super lucky he didn't lose another one. I don't know what happened. I don't know why the Ram... Oh, you know what? The Ram was probably on some type of patrol, and then it got attacked, and it kind of like wanted to run away from the attack. I don't know. Proper response from Kasva. Kasva sees light cavs out, and he thinks, all right, well, we need to mix in some arbs. Actually, you know what? I say proper. When the enemy has 60 skirms, I don't know if you can just mix in some arbs. I think you might actually need to make your own cav here. It's hard to say, though. If it's like 20 skirms, and then you go 20 skirms and 20 arbs, you're going to win that fight. That's kind of the thought process, but... Hey, these knights have done damage. MBL's still missing so many upgrades, and he actually got arrow slits a moment ago, so his keeps on the side, very strong. Got skirmishers chasing Trebs right now. And then we have Siege Ram in. Oh, boy, Siege Ram! You don't get the final attack upgrade. You don't even get the defense upgrades for these light calves, so they're not going to be that strong against the skirms. If they die, the Rams are going to start taking out buildings. MBL has to resort to using villagers. Meanwhile, the skirms are about to take out a Treb. I can't believe this is actually happening. I imagine MBL's distracted, so he's probably not doing that intentionally. But 165 pop for both players, guys. These players are so even. The Castle Age armor upgrade comes in now. That is the final armor upgrade available for MBL. And now he's getting the final attack upgrade as the skirmishers are dying. Looks like they took out one Treb. And that's going to be about it. And with that, MBL also did lose a lot of military. So he's got to be careful here, especially if there's even 10% Arbalest. His light cav are going to die pretty quickly. But MBL, he seems pretty content to just shore up his defense. He's got some bombard cannons behind here. He's now getting the unique tech. I actually forget what that does because they changed it recently. So we're going to look... spoilers! We're going to be professional about this. And we're going to look... What is that again? Oh, that's not the right Civ. It's all right, YouTube. They changed it recently. Oh, okay, so it's that one. Okay, they changed the name of it. Watchtowers, guard towers, and keeps have extra range. Some of that extra range used to be free. They've changed the Civ so many times over the years. Actually, don't know how much it costs, but I'm not going to go back into the tech tree and embarrass myself any further. And considering they have all the tower upgrades now, these things are pretty strong and tough to push. I obviously want to push them with Rams, but you probably would want some Trebs out. And... Hold on. Okay. Capture Age is confused. So Kasva has more pop right now. He has more villagers. The thing I'd say that's a problem for him is his eco balance. He's got 40 on gold. That's not going to last that long. And the 53 on wood is a problem. He actually needs more food eco. Now, MBL is just backed up into this little corner here, right? He's full on defense mode. The towers are not going to do too much against the Rams, but the bombard cannons are doing an okay job. And the light cav are definitely helping. So, I mean, it's not... It takes so long to take this out. But MBL's even getting architecture for extra HP and realizes if this position is lost, the game is lost. And we'll see if MBL can hold this, though. 180 pop for MBL. 130 population... Or, sorry. 180 pop for Kasva. 130 population for MBL. His bombard cannons, his Trebs just roll away. See, Kasva says, if I could take this out, there's no way that he can stop me from taking his towers out. It actually makes a whole lot of sense as long as you have units queued up behind this. Because otherwise, you're going to throw your military. He didn't take out a bombard cannon, but he still does have the Trebs here. Yeah, looking good for Kasva. Now, still, MBL, I call him the cockroach of AoE, guys. He's a very good player in late game. The longer the game goes, the better he tends to get. And these situations tend to not phase him. Notice how his food count's going up, so he's still continuing to farm. And Kasva might have in the back of his mind that this game is over if this push is going to be finished off. But MBL, he's content to just send in a group of skirms, focus down the gold units. Like, okay, I'm going to take out your Trebs too. And Vikings really struggle to have a good gold unit in the Imperial Age beyond the Berserk. They do get Cavalier, but they lack upgrades. I guess Champion could be considered a gold unit as well. As we now see Kasva thinking, you know, what MBL's doing is smart. He's going to try Light Cav, but MBL's already ahead. Already has Light Cav in. So that really was the first segment of this game, guys, where all the action was going down at the same spot. Yeah, before it was just swinging back and forth. It seems like the players have their own areas now. There's no golden stone to tussle over. I mean, MBL still hasn't taken his main gold. Still has this gold too, as we see a few Berserks running over there. One of those was even moonwalking. But keep an eye on Kasva's resources. He's got 69 on wood, 15 on food, 24 on gold. And what's going to happen is, when you have this much in gold at this stage of the game, that means you're almost finished with it. And so as he's going to try and get that relic, I eventually will anyways. I don't even know where the gold is. Ah, there we go. That's going to run out soon, and then that's going to be a bunch of villagers without a job. So this combination of skirmishers and light cav seems to be working well for MBL, who now is going to try and get a TC over here on the side. Smart thinking for MBL just to expand if this does become a wood game. He'll have that area locked down. Not really spending that much gold. Has 2 relics. Is ready to push with this. Before he does, though, we'll take out the Siege Workshop just in case. Okay, so the Light Cav are going to help Kasva. So let's compare. We have 60 HP Castle Age Armor, 60 HP Castle Age Armor. The difference is just the attack right now. And then the fact that MBL can get Hussar, but it's kind of an expensive upgrade. So we'll see. So yeah, Kasva's also getting his food count up. I'm kind of waiting for MBL to try and raid somewhere. Like, if you look here, you could actually see those villagers. Surprised he didn't try and raid there. But again, I think his focus is, let's shore up our food eco. Let's go late game. I actually really like to see him farm down here because it's far away from everything in the back corner. But he does have towers on the left side. Yeah, now this is fun. MBL was debating on going out for raid, which would have done so much damage. But I think Kasva's going to push forward in this attack now. Maybe because of the fact he knew he would take losses if that raid were to come in. He wants to have MBL's attention here. But just like where MBL placed the castles and towers in this game, MBL has the hill. And let's see how much these siege rams are able to tank. Because that's the thing. The rams are tanks. So if you're playing in MBL's shoes, what you tend to do is you patrol in. You sit there on attack stance. And they're always going to attack the units that are closer to you. And if the rams are there, this is what happens. MBL has to back away. Back away he does. Took some losses with the siege there. The Treb's still alive. This is just a ridiculous game. 0 on gold right now for Kasva. But Kasva pushing. It's 195 pop versus 180 pop. Kasva has more eco. That's the difference. MBL will now have Hussar. So now you've got a bit more HP. It's not the biggest change ever. But it does help. Every little bit helps. And MBL has a lot on food. Now he's going to start losing production buildings. He's going to start losing ranges. He's starting to lose... well, no, mainly ranges right now, which means his skirm production will go down. If his skirm production's gone, then the enemy Arbalests are going to shred his cav. So he needs to make sure he's continuing to produce skirms. I guess it's really hard for MBL to raid Kasva in the north because that castle is still there. Yeah, I mean, Kasva has... And this has just dawned on me. Kasva has pushed and pushed and pushed. But he's lost so much gold in Arbalests and Rams. What has he gained over the last 10 to 15 minutes? He'll push MBL back. MBL will stabilize. And then with the trash units, be okay. This is a real problem for Vikings if they're not going for Berserks. And now look at this. MBL stabilizing. MBL with more military. MBL with the stronger military. MBL with 3 relics to 1. And now he's thinking, I might consider going Arbalest. So he's going to go Arbalest. And he's going to push Kasva right off of this hill. And he's going to get that gold back. Crazy game. Kasva, I think, realizing now that this is going to be tough. But Kasva now is 71 on food. So Kasva has more on food than MBL does. So, I mean, he's in a position to spam those cav, but there's a lot of skirms out there. There's a lot of hussars out there, and he's lost control of the game. Now, guys, if you take a position like this, the first thing you should do is queue up a bunch of units in reinforcement, okay? MBL's done that. The second thing, I think, is raid with half your hussar army. This is an okay fight. In fact, this is a great fight. It's not okay. Maybe one you should stay with. But get some hussars to other areas. You see Hera do that a lot. Switch focus. Because you're already winning the fight in the middle. It's going to lead to even more good engagements for yourself if you switch focus. Because they are focusing everything they have right here. But I think MBL realized that he's won this game at this point. I think he realizes that he doesn't need to necessarily raid because his units are stronger. He's next to the production buildings. Kasva's trying to produce. When he produces, the units just immediately die. Crazy cockroachy game. There's a reason I call MBL the cockroach of AoE. This guy does not die at Kasva, yeah. I mean, it was a good game for Kasva. I think the macro was just slipping between 50 minutes and an hour because he didn't have the farming eco MBL had. And then apart from that, I think maybe he could have been more aggressive with his Rams in early imp. If you remember that instance around here. It looks very different now, but I think there was an opportunity for him. You could maybe say get the relics. You could maybe say go berserks. No, you can't say go berserks because he wouldn't have had the castles. Not with the way this game developed, but maybe champion. I don't know. It's tricky. There are some matchups where civs just kind of end up being a trash spam because they don't have the strongest gold units. And normally that ends up being civilizations that do not get good cav. If civilization doesn't get good light cav or good hussar, then you tend to see a lot of skirms and halb spammed. But champion, of course, is a good opportunity or good option for you in those stages. Yeah, MBL now mixing in the ARBs, so he's got more protection for the Trebs, building slowly going down. And Kasva's committed so much time to this that Kasva wants to continue to play. Also, the population is really high, right? I wouldn't resign until I hit 130 pop, I think. So here he comes with the pikemen. Viking pikemen do get extra HP. But with Arbalest and Skirmisher there, the pikemen are not going to get close to doing damage, and you'll see that pop drop and drop and drop. The raids are doing damage here. And GG. Quite the game there, ladies and gents. Quite the game. I loved that from the start to the finish. Let me know your thoughts. Like, it was just incredible how we talked about position. I absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it. Might not have been as fun as I was in Kasva's position up against guard towers. I don't know, but woo, that was a doozy and a half. The thing is, I loved every second of it because, you know, it was so tricky to know where should Kasva push, where should MBL push. One player gains a hill, another player gains a hill. Swapping golds constantly. Look at this. That Kasva had more wood, more gold, and more stone in this game. I think a lot of that wood and gold went down in Arbalest and Rams. If he would have had better food eco, he could have maybe found a counter to skirmishers, could have maybe gone for champions, who knows. But yeah, I felt like every time I looked at the populations for the players in the middle of that game, it was always the same. It was incredible. Very rare that I see games this entertaining. A special shout out to Kasva who sent me this game because I could not get the recorded game from awe2.net. Seems like there's some weird issue nowadays, so I can't download the Rex anymore. So I bothered the players. Kasva helped me out. He's a great player. Check him out if you haven't already. And thanks for watching, guys. The final question is, should towers be restored? Do you think that there should be a change to the towers? I don't want Tower Rush to be viable every game. And I understand that Tower Rush is really stressful to face up against. But from a balanced perspective, do you think that towers should have 1,000 HP in Feudal Age again? Let me know. It just dawned on me that this game is maybe an argument for why they shouldn't be buffed because it was entertaining and included towers. Yeah, I'm just going to end it there.